So good evening, everyone. Fine. So today we will be discussing about the last chapter of this study material, that is emerging dimensions of VUCA-FU. Okay. So here there is a full form of VUCA-FU. V stands for, here you can see, volatility. Okay. V stands for volatility. So that you need to remember. U stands for uncertainty. Fine. C stands for complex. A stands for ambiguity. Fine. So it's a very small chapter and I won't take much time, and today will be the last class for economics. I hope like you will study well for all the chapters. So you can see here, in order to understand the dynamics of the VUCA-FU world, we have to have a closer look at the different dimensions of it. The dimensions are, as V stands for volatility. So what is volatility all about? Volatility is a statistical measure on one hand which describes an amount of uncertainty. On the other hand, it is a concept that refers to the speed, volume, nature and magnitude of a change that may or may not be in a pattern form. So as we know that in the business environment, okay, so everything keeps changes, right? So in the previous chapter you have studied about business environment. So in the business environment we have political, economic, social, legal, technological, right? So the business environment is very dynamic. That means it's keep on changing from time to time, every year or in every 1 month or in every 6 months. Okay, so business environment keeps on changing. It's very dynamic, flexible, we can say dynamic. It changes with time. And here volatility is that. Volatility is like, it's related to what? Uncertainty. Okay, it is related to uncertainty. So volatility here we can say that example can be the change may occur in an industry. So change is volatility. Anytime there may be change, and the business environment, that means every business and enterprise or organization, they need to cope up with the change. Example like, when there is a change in technology, when there is change in taste and preferences of the customer, so they have to cope up with it, right? So it is very important. See, business environment is volatile. So the change may occur in any industry, anytime, okay, any moment, in a market or in the world in general. So if there is something going on in the world scenario, something going on in US suppose, so it will affect the entire international market. It will affect the other countries also. It will affect the business environment of the other countries also. The more volatile the world is, the more and faster things change. Okay, so whenever, as I have told you, the more the environment will be volatile and the change will be also fast stage. The challenge is unexpected and unstable and may be of unknown duration. So you do not know that change will be, the changes and the challenges will be for how many years, for how many months. Okay, so that is unknown. For example, violent fluctuations in prices after a natural disaster catch the supplier on the wrong foot. So that is one of the example, like violent fluctuation in the prices. So whenever there is a fluctuation in the prices, so that is due to, because of your natural disaster. So you do not know, like, how the supplier will be able to supply at a regular price or not. So that is one of the example of your volatility. Here the solution may lie in the stockpiling of the inventory. Other examples may include fluctuations in the stock market. So that whenever there is a fluctuation in the stock market, so that's the example of your volatility, right? Then innovations in technology, digitalization. So like few years back, whenever there was a digitalization of the banking, all the activities, so that is volatility. The employees, they were working on pen and paper. They used to keep the record on pen, paper, right? Suddenly, like, everything has gone digitalized. So that is volatility all about, changes and the challenges, right? So business environment is very volatile. That means like there will be changes and the challenges, and that need to be cope up. proper risk management may solve. So risk management strategy that need to be taken by the company, then only that situations can be handled properly by the organizations. While quick adoption of new technology, so whenever there is a updation in the technology, whenever there is a change in the technology, so quickly, how quickly you are responding to it, how quickly you are adopting the new technology, that will help the organization to grow at a faster rate in this competitive world. So this is your volatility all about. So volatility comes from your uncertainty. Volatility comes from your changes and the challenges in the business environment. Fine. So V stands for volatility. Now, uncertainty. Uncertainty means what? Uncertainty means, see, the future is uncertain. So uncertainty is related to the future. You cannot predict the future, right? To an extent you can predict, but fully 100% you cannot predict that what may happen, what may not happen, you do not know. So that is uncertainty all about, right? Unknown, uncertainty. So keeping in mind volatility, uncertainty becomes the ability to predict or not to predict what will happen amidst volatility. When there are no concrete trends or pattern, it becomes more and more difficult to establish what will happen next and to make decisions based on that. So if you do not have knowledge, if you do not know what may happen, so it will be very difficult to predict the future. If you have some hint, if you have some idea that this may happen in future, this may not happen in future, then you can predict your future. But if you do not have any information, if you do not have any knowledge, it will be difficult for the business organization to predict the future. So that is uncertainty all about. So uncertainty comes from where it's like from the volatility and when there is no knowledge about the future. So when there are no concrete trends, so you do not have any trend or the pattern, you do not know, okay, then your uncertainty will come into the picture. So it becomes more and more difficult to establish what will happen next and what to take decision. If you do not have any information, so what will you take decision? So that is your uncertainty all about. So uncertainty is lack of clarity. Uncertainty, that means you are not clear. So that's why you are uncertain what to do and what not to do. Uncertainty is lack of clarity to evaluate a situation properly. So how to evaluate the situation properly? You do not know how to evaluate it. Why you do not know? Because you do not have the proper knowledge and the informations, right? So that's how it is lack of clarity and to identify the challenges and the opportunities. So you do not have any knowledge, you have lack of clarity to identify the challenges and the opportunities that is coming into your way, into the business environment, business organization's way. So that is your uncertainty all about. So it is related to your decision making. So decision making will be difficult. Am I clear to you? Okay. Now, V stands for volatility, U stands for uncertainty. Now C stands for what? Yes, C stands for complexity. Okay, C stands for complexity. See, your exam is coming, okay, and you are uncertain. You do not know how the exams will be. You do not have proper guidance. Nobody is there to guide you. Okay, you don't know how the question patterns will be. So you are uncertain. So obviously you will be in complex situation. Right? Because you do not have any knowledge. You don't know. There is a lot of changes. Suppose changes is coming, that is challenges is coming, and you do not have, proper knowledge. You have lack of clarity. You do not have guidance. Then the complex situation will come into your mind. Right? So this is all about your complex situation comes in the way of business environment while doing the business. So here, when environment is volatile, so when environment is changing frequently and uncertain, you don't know what is happening, okay, uncertain, what will happen in future, the situation as such automatically becomes more complex. So when there is an existence of uncertainty, when there is an existence of volatility, automatically the business environment will become complex. Am I clear to you? Okay. So this happens because the cause and effect are no longer linear. If you do not know the cause, if you do not know anything, how will you predict the effect? Right? So it becomes a challenge to discern which development has led to which consequence. So what will be the consequence? You do not know. You cannot predict what will be the consequence. So complexity describes the amount of diversified states a system can get into at a certain point of time. The more diversified states a system can get into, the harder it gets to manage these states. Particularly when it comes to long-term events, it is often impossible to determine when or why a particular development took place and what factor influenced it. So under high complexity, it is impossible to fully analyze the environment. So when there is high complexity, it is very difficult to analyze and fully know the environment, business environment. So that is all about your complexity. Now, the next one is A stands for ambiguity. Ambiguity means which is not clear. The simple meaning of ambiguity is which is not clear. So when situation cannot be clearly interpreted, so when you cannot interpret, kya hoga? You cannot interpret it. So that is ambiguity. Everything is vague, everything is unclear. Okay, nothing is clear to you. So that is your ambiguity all about. Here, such a situation is termed as ambiguity. This may happen when information is incomplete. So you have information, but the information is incomplete, contradictory. Okay, the information is contradictory. You are unable to decide which one is right for you, or too inaccurate to draw clear conclusion. आपके पास information है लेकिन incomplete है, ठीक है? आपके पास information है लेकिन inaccurate है, accurate नहीं है, ठीक है? तो जितना information आपको चाहिए उतना information आपके पास नहीं है, then how will you draw the conclusion? आप conclusion में कैसे आएंगे? मान लीजिए कि आपको one case is given to you to solve, but informations are half. You have to investigate, but from nowhere you are getting the information. How will you solve the problem? How will you solve the case? Right? So that way, that is ambiguity all about. So ambiguity doesn't imply a lack of clarity. Rather, it describes a situation where multiple interpretations are possible. ठीक है? अब यहाँ पे क्या बोल रहा है कि ambiguity where multiple interpretation. You have information but incomplete. You have information but inaccurate. So from that information, you are getting many results. You are getting result 1, result 2, result 3. ठीक है? Interpretations बहुत सारा आ रहा है. तो which one will be correct? How will you draw the conclusion? So that from there your ambiguity comes into picture. Am I clear? Okay. Now, this is because there may be many possible solutions and there is no analytical way to establish which one is the correct way to follow. So you do not know which one is the correct way to follow. So this is all about your ambiguity. Here, one example is given. Suppose a business firm decides to sell its product in an immature or emerging market, or decides to launch products outside the core competencies. As a solution to this problem, the strategists would like to conduct experiment. Okay? So इसमें क्या बोला है? What is the example here is like the business firm decides to sell their product. Where to sell their product? In an immature emerging market. The market is not immature. Market is not mature. Market is not emerging market. There the company wants to launch their product. ठीक है? तो क्या होगा कुछ पता ही नहीं है, clear ही नहीं है. The market is immature itself. So in that case, the strategists will take the solution that they will conduct the experiment. They will first do the experiment. And then we will try to understand the cause and effect required generating hypothesis and testing them. उसको test करेंगे. Then the experiment should be designed in such a way that the lesson learned can be applied fruitfully. Fine. So this is your ambiguity all about. Now, FU. Now, vokafu. FU means F means fear of unknown, and U means your unprecedentedness. So here, this is the COVID-19 is the clear example of fear of unknown and unprecedentedness. को कभी पता ही नहीं था या पता ही नहीं है कि ऐसा हो सकता था या ऐसा होगा, right? Suddenly it has come. That is fear of unknown. Okay, so when the external environment is such that the business firm are engulfed by a fear of unknown dimension because of an unprecedented catastrophe, that their strategies are completely dumbfounded, which renders them extremely helpless. The classic example is COVID-19 pandemic. So this here in the year 2022, the entire globe is reeling under the third wave of the pandemic in the early 22. So this is the example of your fear of unknown and unprecedentedness. Okay, so here basically in this chapter, okay, you try to understand the example and you try to understand what is V. Okay, V is, okay, what is U? Uncertainty. C? Complexity, complex or complexity. And A stands for, yes, you try to remember the abbreviations and as well as try to remember the meaning to it. Okay, and the example, you have to identify the examples. So COVID-19 is the example of this fear of, yes. So the outbreak of the virus is spurring the adoption of contactless digital payment, and there has been a surge in digital payment volumes across online grocery stores, retail outlets, online pharmacies, etc. So nowadays everywhere there is Google Pay. That has increased only because of COVID-19, right? So that is your example of fear of unknown. Okay, the National Payments Corporation of India, NPCI, has been pivotal to the emergence of the digital payment ecosystem in India. Indian Finance Minister has assured that central bank digital currency will be issued very soon, which will give a big boost to digital economy. So nowadays everywhere it is like our economy is now digital economy only, right? So in order to overcome this unprecedented situation, business leaders are navigating a broad range of interrelated issues that span from keeping their employees and customers safe through work from home and contactless transaction respectively. So like because of all these situations, the organizations also have taken various decisions and they have started with the concept that is your work from home, right? They have started with the concept work from home, contactless transaction, okay? Like personally do not have to meet, okay? Personally do not have to meet, digitally you talk, then you complete the transaction. Providing support of cash and liquidity, reorienting operations and navigating complicated government support programs. So this is all about this chapter, fine? So you have to study this only, study the meaning and the example as well as the full form of it, fine? Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much and study well, like do all the MCQs after your lesson. Many MCQs are given, so do not skip that. And you also thoroughly study the study material. Each and every line you try to study. The we can say the establishment years are given, objectives are given, and a few concepts are given related to market. All those market is given, about cost, about supply, about demand. So all those formulas and the numericals you try to do it, like the numericals from demand, elasticity of demand, the numericals from elasticity of supply, that also you do it, okay, and try to solve it, okay. Give your exam well. Thank you so much and all the best for your exams, okay.